On March 14, 1879, Albert Einstein was born in Ulm, Württemberg, Germany. After 6 weeks, the family relocated to Munich, where he later started attending the Luitpold Gymnasium. After they relocated to Italy, Albert resumed his schooling at Aarau, Switzerland. He then enrolled in Zurich's Swiss Federal Polytechnic School in 1896 to pursue a degree in mathematics and physics education. He received his diploma in 1901, the year he became a Swiss citizen, and when he was unable to obtain employment as a teacher, he agreed to work as a technical assistant in the Swiss Patent Office. He received his doctorate in 1905. He created a large portion of his extraordinary work while working at the Patent Office and in his own time, and in 1908 he was named Privatdozent in Bern. He was appointed Professor Extraordinary in Zurich in 1909, Professor of Theoretical Physics in Prague in 1911, and Professor Extraordinary in Zurich again in 1912 to hold the same position. He was appointed professor at the University of Berlin and director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Physical Institute in 1914. He acquired German citizenship in 1914 and resided in Berlin until 1933, when he left for America to accept a position as a professor of theoretical physics at Princeton. At that time, he had renounced his citizenship for political reasons. In 1940, he obtained U.S. citizenship, and in 1945, he announced his retirement. After the war, Einstein was a key player in the world government movement, turned down the invitation to lead the State of Israel, and worked with Dr. Chaim Weizmann to found the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. Einstein always seemed to have a distinct understanding of the physics issues and the motivation to fix them. He had his own plan of attack and could see the major steps necessary to reach his objective. He saw his greatest accomplishments as little more than stepping stones to the next development. Early in his scientific career, Einstein became aware of the limitations of Newtonian physics, and his special theory of relativity developed out of an effort to harmonize the physical principles of mechanics with the electromagnetic field. He dealt with conventional statistical mechanics difficulties as well as situations where those problems were combined with quantum theory, which provided an explanation for the Brownian motion of molecules. With a low radiation density, he studied the thermal characteristics of light, and his findings formed the basis of the photon theory of light. In his early days in Berlin, Einstein postulated that the correct interpretation of the special theory of relativity must also furnish a theory of gravitation, and in 1916 he published his paper on the general theory of relativity. During this time, he also contributed to the problems of the theory of radiation and statistical mechanics. Although he continued to work on the probabilistic interpretation of quantum theory and persisted with this work in America, Einstein started developing unified field theories in the 1920s. By creating the quantum theory of a monatomic gas, he made a contribution to statistical mechanics. He has also done important work in relation to atomic transition probabilities and relativistic cosmology. After he retired, he continued to work toward the unification of fundamental physics ideas, adopting the geometrization strategy in contrast to most physicists. Einstein's researches are, of course, well chronicled, and his more important works include Special Theory of Relativity in 1905, Relativity with English translations in 1920 and 1950, General Theory of Relativity in 1916, Investigations on Theory of Brownian Movement in 1926, and The Evolution of Physics in 1938. Among his non-scientific works, About Zionism, Why War? My Philosophy in 1934, and Out of My Later Years in 1950 are perhaps the most important. Many universities in Europe and America awarded Albert Einstein honorary doctorates in science, medicine, and philosophy. He delivered lectures across Europe, America, and the Far East in the 1920s, and he received memberships or fellowships from all of the top scientific academies on a global scale. He received many honors for his contributions, including the Franklin Medal from the Franklin Institute in 1935 and the Copley Medal from the Royal Society of London in 1925. Because of his abilities, Einstein lived much of his life in intellectual seclusion, and music played a significant role in his life as a kind of relaxation. After his 1903 marriage to Maliva Merrick ended in divorce in 1919, he married his cousin Elsa Lowenthal, who passed away in 1936. The couple had a daughter and 2 boys. He passed away in Princeton, New Jersey, on April 18, 1955.